Norm wakes up to a bright sunny day, puts his messy brown hair into a bun, then he whips and nays. Going downstairs merrily, he found a letter on his table. This letter said,
he looks inside a closet and finds himself following a white rabbit.
Norm was very confused by this letter. Then he noticed a little bit of weed on it. He used the letter to roll a fat blunt and smoked it. Then he whipped and nayed and dabbed. With all the stir of emotions that the weed brought, he became dizzy. He tried to seek medical attention for his dizziness, stumbling across the grassy plains. Sorry. When he gets medical help, he finds out he has cancer and it's terminal.
I don't know what to do,
Norm says. While he was crying, he decided to wander off into the woods. And in the woods, he found 12 pounds of cocaine.
Well, someone's got to snort it,
he said as he took a big sniff. Suddenly, a 12-bald man runs onto the scene. He goes, hold on a second. Jesse, what are you doing? Norm then looked at himself and discovered he was dressed in the worst fashion he had ever seen.
Who is this Jesse, my good sir?
Said Norm, a little quiver in his mouth. Jesse, what the fuck are you talking about? Walter responded. That's my cocaine, Jesse. What he doesn't realize is that while he sees Walter White, it's actually a man with an AK-47. And he just stolen cocaine.
Well, this is bad,
Norm said.
Breaking Bad.
He looks over at the audience, expecting a laugh track. He then takes out a lemming. He stares at the audience with a glare.
Get on with the laughter, or I bite this thing's head off.
Norm, high on weed and cocaine, thought there was an audience. There, in fact, was not one. So he leaned into the lemming's ear and said,
Tough crowd.
In the most sinister way possible, rips his head off like a wine cork. Yeah, my voice is getting a little tired doing this. Blood spitting everywhere, turning the white snow red. Norm turns back to the audience and says,
You did this. It's your fault.
And proceeds to collapse. He wakes up in the desert and everyone is gone, except for the body of the lemming. He also finds there is 3 bullets in his arm, and he can't move his left arm.
Need a hand?
A lone voice says. Norm whisks his head around to see a rather peculiar doe-eyed man. He turns to the man and sees a short, square-headed fellow, and he says,
Hey there, it's me, Rob Schneider. Your inner voice. See, you had a little trouble getting here.
As he puts away his sword.
Dangerous out here.
Norm gets up, looking at Rob in his cold, unfunny, doughy eyes.
My fight isn't with you, Rob. We had that for 4 movies. My fight is with him.
Norm proceeds to point at a big looming billboard with a eerie presence of a person, one of which he believes he can take down. Rob peers up at the billboard.
You really think you could take on the Hat Man? There's no way you can. That's a death wish.
Norm, with determination in his eyes, climbs up the side of the billboard with a knife and the body of the lemming in his left hand. And then he stabs the pole that he was climbing. After a second glance, Norm realizes what he did.
Oh, shit,
he muttered. And with that, the billboard creaked once, creaked twice, thrice, came down crashing upon Rob. Rob, with his dying breath, he squeaks,
Alpha and Omega was better.
He then gurgles his death rattle. Norm is sitting there, watching his lifeless body. End's theme, from Pokemon Black and White, the piano one specifically, he tries to call for help. There is a man with a mustache and a stethoscope. He sighs. It's a me, Dr. Mario/J. Norm looks at this Chris Pratt wannabe, licking his lips because of how dry the desert is, and says,
I can't be. No, that's dumb. No, I can.
Suddenly, Norm starts to convulse on the ground, or convulse on the ground, as he realizes none of this is real. He's a fanfic made up. Dr. Mario looks over Norm's convulsing body. "What a shame, /T," he said, snarking with what is that? Is that smugly? "He was such a good actor in the Norm of the North 2016. While he is convulsing on the ground, with a bunch of spits coming out of his mouth, frothing, he remembers all the good times he had, like how he tore that lemming's head off, and how he found out that he had cancer, and it was terminal, and that he was skydiving at... Wait, how is he skydiving right now? He's skydiving, but he's still frothing at the mouth while convulsing. Dr. Mario hummed as he watched the convulsing creature. He looked at the man beside him and asked, What do you, Toby?" "Who the crap is Toby?" says a Mexican wrestler. The camera pans up to him. "It's a strong bed." Dr. Mario asks what Norm's last words were. Norm looks at him in his beautiful blue eyes, like the sea reflecting the sky, where the sun don't shine, where the pollution comes and cries. "Thought daughter, gay son." Who says the next line? Is... Oh, yeah. "Personally, I think it is quite rude to choose between a person who cheats and what someone would want to identify as. It is his personal liking to what he wants." Oh, my chest hurts. "And that should be accepted for what he wants. While the daughter should be shamed for cheating on their partner, as it's not a loyal commitment to her love life," said Strong Bed, with Norm cutting in. "I agree. Shame on you, Dr. Mario. That isn't called for." When suddenly, Norm finds himself in a retirement housing. With the old man in his wheelchair, with a bell on the armrest, looking away from Norm. I need to process this for a dilly darn minute. Add that. Don't add. Oh, okay. "I prefer a gay son that turns into taut daughter," says Toby Maguire, as he wheels Norm across the room. "Trans rights. Fuck yeah, man." I tried to be very, gentle with his voice because that's how I remember him speaking. He lets go of Norm and crumbles into dust. Norm then losses all his hair because he realized he had cancer, and then he fell into the depths of hell. But it wasn't metaphorical. He literally fell into hell, and then he woke up into the forest because his cocaine finally wore off. "Wow," Norm muttered. "I really like that." So he sat up and looked around. There was no cocaine to be found. Only snow, of course. This dumbass bear doesn't know the difference between cocaine and snow. He snorts more snow and fucking drowns because it turns into water. Wow, I never knew that. That's crazy, bruv. Bugs Bunny walks in. He points his carrot at Norm. Hold on, I gotta think of something here.
"Yeesh, someone busted a snow cap in his ass."
Norm, trying to deal with his crippling cocaine addiction, gets his iPhone and opens Spotify. All he wants to listen to is Melanie Martinez. He tries to play the first song on his favorite playlist. When he plays, finds something rather dire. Want a break from the ads? What? This short video to receive 30 minutes of ad-free music. When suddenly, Norm wakes up to a bright sunny day, puts his messy brown hair into a bun, then he whips and nays.